Here we go. It's FT Live. Braun, Kratz, and Pierzynski doing the show as we will do every year on 9/11, which is a very special day in Major League Baseball and one of the most important days of remembrance, really, in the history of our nation. We believe in freedom, and obviously baseball played a small part in helping New York and our entire country heal during that time back September 11th of 2001. So, of course, at games across the country, there'll be a moment of silence and a lot of honoring those that were lost and, those obviously that are mourning from that time period. But guys, just wanted to start the show, obviously saying that we believe in freedom, one nation, and screw any terrorist that tries to get in the way of that.
Agreed. I mean, I was playing Major League Baseball when September 11th happened 24 years ago, and it was one of the worst days in American history, and it should never be forgotten. It should never be pushed to the side. It should be remembered, and it should be talked about. And there is no room for violence, and there is no room for anything. Whatever you believe in, we should be able to have conversations. And I'm sure we'll get into it on my game tonight on Fox, September 11th, with all the things that will be happening in Cleveland here. But I was in Detroit. It was a sad day, and it was one of the worst days that I can remember as a Major League player, sitting there getting phone calls, watching it happen on TV, and things that are happening in today's world with what happened yesterday. There's no room when people are speaking and talking about things, and, a podcaster gets basically assassinated on for no reason other than giving his beliefs is not where we should be. And if anything, on September 11th, we should look at each other and say, hey, why can't we all just get along? And I think that's where we're at. And it's a sad day, but it's also a day that should be looked at in a positive way, meaning we should all look at each other and say we can do better than where we're at right now.
And it's something that brings the country together. Obviously, I never show my hat forward till the end of the show, but I was honored to be able to wear the NYPD or the FDNY hat, the NYFD hat that we wore on September 11th as a Yankee. And I got to go see the monuments that are set up now. Like, it's something that affects everybody differently. And when we stop remembering it and we stop commemorating it and remembering the people who sacrificed for it, that's where the issue is. And I think it's something that baseball is intertwined in that. So many stories around 9/11 and 9/11 getting back to, or baseball getting back to some semblance of reality while there was still things going on in New York is something that I'll always remember. And every day I'll remember, or every September 11th, we remember this.
President Trump's going to be at Yankee Stadium tonight in honor of 9/11. And I think we just need to make sure we're thinking about the right things on a day like today and keep talking about this. Baseball, obviously, again, played, a little part in helping people heal back then and hopefully can continue to do that. All right, FT fam.
I remember, Scott,
yeah,
I mean, Scott. I remember the first game back. It was unbelievable after this. We were in Detroit when this happened. We were at the hotel, and I remember we had to get back to Minnesota. I was with the Twins at the time and didn't know what was going to happen. It was a scary time. We couldn't fly because all the flights were grounded. We had to bus back to Minneapolis from Detroit after we played inter-squad games in Detroit amongst ourselves in front of nobody at Comerica Park because nobody knew what was going to happen if we were going to have a season. And then let's not forget, President Bush taking the mound there in Yankee Stadium the first day after September 11th and doing what he did, and just the moment it meant for the entire country and how the country came together was a big moment. And I think that we, sometimes need to look at that and say, hey, we need to, we need to come together a little bit more. And listen, we're not a political show. We know that we're a baseball show, but if baseball helped a little bit after this terrible event, that we should all be able to look at it 24 years later and say the same thing.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part, 24 years later. So there are a lot of young people out there that really don't have, stories and maybe don't know enough about what happened. So that's what we're here for, to mention here today at the top of the show. All right, let's get to some baseball. So, guys, we'll start in New York. And AJ, the Yankees got smacked by the Tigers again. I feel like we're covering quite a bit of Yanks in the past few days. And also, we learned about the whole Volpe shoulder thing today, too, which we can get into. But I would like to start with the Tigers. The Tigers have the best record in the American League, and they are playing for something right now. Number one, they're playing for a bye in the first round, and they're well on their way. And number two, a team with a very good home record that played well the last couple games on the road against the Yankees would also like to have home field advantage in the American League. They are sending a statement the last couple days.
They are. They're beating up on the Yankee bullpen. The starters have been fine for the Yankees. It's been the bullpen that's a major problem, whether it's walks or hits like it was last time. It was just hits. They just got hit around. They got whacked. But the night before it was walks. The starters been okay. But the Tigers, are sending a message. And right now they're the 1 seed in the American League. They have the best record in the American League. And as of right now, the American League goes to Detroit. And the Yankees can say whatever they want and, about this or that. But at the end of the day, the Tigers right now are showing a better team. The Tigers won the season series for them the first time since 2011. So the Tigers are it right now in the American League.
Definitely. I mean, the Tigers needed to have, in my opinion, they needed to have a showcase series like this where they ended up doing what they did, and it was in different ways. Like, normally when you look at playoff teams and they're playing better teams, it's like, if you can't beat them your way, then how are you going to beat them? Haven't needed Erik to beat them. They've taken their walks when the bullpen came in. They've annihilated the ball when the bullpen came in. To me, it looked like the Yankees weren't 100% matching up very well with the moves that AJ Hinch was making or the way that the Tigers lineup was structured. I'm not saying it's a Boone thing. I'm saying it's how do the Yankees line up? The Yankees have a lot of questions. They came through a stretch where they were winning a lot of games. Then they played the Blue Jays. Everyone's like, it's a good team. You're not going to be able to beat them. They won 2 out of 3. And this is another test for the Yankees. What do they learn from this series, and how do they remember that when they face them in the playoffs, if they're able to advance to the DS to face the Tigers?
How much do you like the Tigers in general, Kratz? I mean, last year this was the shocking storyline down the stretch around this time where this team looked out of it. They sold at the deadline. That includes Jack Flaherty, who's now back with the team. So it all comes full circle right now. And they currently hold the best record in the American League in the middle of September. So how scary is this team in your mind?
I mean, they show they have different facets, different ways of winning. I actually picked the Tigers last year to beat the Astros in the first series because I felt like when you have a ace like Erik, you can go out and you can beat a team quick in a 3-game series. I think they're a better team than they were last year. Are they good enough to withstand kind of a slow stretch? Are they getting hot coming into the playoffs, even though they're going to have that bye, maybe, home field advantage if they can keep this up? That's going to be my biggest question. Again, the American League is not that great compared to the National League, but I think right now, I don't know if the Tigers are still the best team in the American League. I get it, they have the best record, and I don't have a concrete reason of why they're not the best team. I just see too many teams. Blue Jays were doing really good. I loved the Mariners, and then they started going off, and then the Tigers are back up. I don't know if the Tigers are the best.
Okay. For me, AJ, I think the Tigers will go as their starting pitching goes. And I know this sounds weird, but it's one thing to do what they did for half of the postseason last year, but to go the distance and actually win a World Series, generally you need at least 3 good starters, right? I mean, Dodgers won last year. They were rocking some bullpen games, taking some L's at times.
Yeah, but they still had some starters though.
I'm saying
starters.
They did. That's my point. Yeah, they still had.
Flaherty was huge for him. Yamamoto pitched well for him. I mean, listen, it wasn't like they were completely naked out there. They had some starters.
That's my point. So my point with Detroit is it's one thing to get through a short series and for Erik to be Erik. But if you're going to actually win a World Series, you do need, in my mind, usually 3 starters. And they have that capability, right? For me, Skubal, of
100%.
course.
Flaherty's
Jack
better
Flaherty.
than what he's shown. Flaherty. And then Casey Mize. Let's not forget about Casey Mize. Casey Mize has been really good for him this year. He was an all-star. I mean, Jack Flaherty with 8-13 with a 4.69. That shouldn't be that way. I'm sorry, but he pitched great because he was motivated last night. because he was going up against a team that had him fail his physical. Casey Mize 14-5 with a 3.8 ERA. He's pretty good. It's not like he's terrible. He's pretty good. He made the All-Star team this year. He was the 1-1 for a reason. Casey Mize isn't a schmuck. And then you have Skubal, who's probably going to win the Cy Young again. The question is if they get into a 7-game series, this is where they get caught sometimes, is a 7-game series, because when you have to use your bullpen as much as they rely on their bullpen, I guess Charlie Morton would be the guy. If Charlie Morton is healthy, would be their fourth guy. But he's been pretty good the second half, or since about his first 5 starts. So they get into trouble when they have to overuse their bullpen. They have to be able to use their start. And Skubal, Flaherty, Mize is a good threesome to start with. And then if you have Charlie Morton, you do it. But then you have Skubal coming back in Game 5. As long as you can line it up that way, right? If they go into a 5-game series and they win in 5, and Skubal has to pitch Game 5, well, then they win. Then they have to go to a 7-game series. Well, then you don't get Skubal to Game 3 or Game 4. That's when it can catch the Tigers.
Okay. Yeah, that's my point. Is I think you've got 3 names that you might feel good about, and if those 2 names after Skubal perform well, you can make a serious run. I'm not on the Morton boat. I think he contribute innings, but I wouldn't feel comfortable about him starting a playoff game. I know he's had some good outings right when he got dealt over there, some crappier outings lately, but at least 3 starters that you feel pretty good about if you're a Tigers fan. All right, let's get to the Yankees side of the equation here. Of course, the bullpen gets smoked the last couple of days. Kratz, I'm going to go right to the storyline about Volpe. I know we've been talking about him a lot, but this is fresh news. Joel Sherman reported that he was given a shot in his left shoulder, the one that he heard pop in May. And then Brian Hook added it was a cortisone injection. And when Aaron Boone was asked about Volpe's shoulder yesterday, he called him a very tough kid and a gamer, adding he doesn't believe the shoulder has impacted Volpe's play. Quote, "I don't think so, but I guess I shouldn't rule it out." Of course, people are jumping on it like, May? And like, was the shot in May? And why is this coming up now?
What did Volpe say?
No excuses.
It's a prime case of what did he say? Is he going to play through it? Guys play through things all the time. Guys, maybe sometimes to their detriment. Not always like their playing ability goes down, but like something else gets worse. Look, like when stuff like this comes out and it's happening in May, fans are going to be irate about it, but it's hard to take somebody out of the lineup when they feel like they are one of the better players or the best option for that team in that situation. You're going to play through things. Like Volpe did a lot of really good things since May too. Did that cause his 18 errors? Did that cause his slumps and swinging? I don't know. This is a him question. Why don't we hear from him about it?
Oh, the questions are going to be coming in hot. Right?
Totally. But I know Chase Utley, and I've brought this up before. He had major knee pain. He had major hip pain, played through it. They won a World Series, and he ended up needing stuff done to his knees. What exactly he got done, but they said because of playing through the hip, he caused knee issues. You're talking about a guy that could have been a fringe Hall of Famer, that if he had been able to sit out, get the hip fixed, maybe it wouldn't have led to the knee stuff. Maybe he would have had more of a long, productive career instead of just a long career where he kind of, was a role player at the end. And that whole season, nobody knew about it. They won the World Series. So that was a successful decision. If the Yankees end up winning the World Series this year and Anthony Volpe has anything to do with it, him not getting shoulder surgery or him playing through the shoulder pain is worth it. This is the reality of sport of baseball, and I'm sure it's every other sport. Guys play through things. Sometimes it affects their play. Sometimes it doesn't.
We just went over an extreme case of this. Sean Murphy needed significant surgery on his hip for years. It's been a problem. And then it escalated lately, and he finally said uncle and got it checked out. So last words from AJ on this one. Your thoughts on this news coming out now? I mean, the reply, obviously, from many people.
Sorry, I froze, y'all. I missed it.
No, I was saying also we learned about Kyle Tucker and his injury. Remember when he was struggling too.
Sometimes teams put this out later just to try to get people off their back, I think, a little bit. And I think with Volpe, this is exactly what's happening. He's the brunt of he's getting the brunt of it from Yankee fans right now, and they give him the day off, and so they're like, oh, by the way, he also had this. But I don't know. I didn't hear what Volpe said about this, but he's going to say, oh, it doesn't matter. It hasn't affected me. But Kyle Tucker, remember everyone said this about Kyle Tucker, and then he played really well for the first month. So after that, I don't know. But, man, it's just one of those things where teams do it to try to get people off their back. And Volpe didn't play last night, so they have an excuse why he didn't play instead of saying, hey, we want Caballero to be our shortstop. But it wasn't like – Caballero did kick that one ball where he kicked it into the stands. Remember he slid and kicked the ball into the stands. It kind of broke the inning open. So, not that it matters, but it's just one of those things where teams do this, and it's not a big deal.
Yep. All right, FT fam, let's get to more drastic measures coming up next. The Mets lost to the Phillies yesterday. The Reds are a couple games back, but they're really a little closer than you think because they won the season series. We'll talk to Will Sammon about it on the way. Time for your weekly Arena Club segment where we see what AJ pulls from a slab pack. And here we go. Pulling a little Emerald pack this week, AJ. Looking for something big.
Always. I'm always looking for the big thing. Next big thing, Scott.
Big money, baby.
Yep. No whammies.
We've got a Dave Winfield card from 1974, a 74 Topps card from this Emerald pack. Estimated value $300. Mm-hmm. You could sell it back for $270.
Sold.
I feel like you're into more of the current players. Would that be accurate?
No,
you like legends?
In my showroom, I have a Robin Yount. I have a Griffey rookie card.
Oh,
I think.
That's true.
So I have some older vintager players. Bob Gibson.
Oh yeah, you have Gibson.
So I disagree, Scott. But Dave Winfield, for that amount of money back, I'm reselling it.
And if you want to get your own pack or new card, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/foul. Hey, we have a tweet about Brian Snitker. And AJ, did you play for him or you were Freddie Gonzalez when you were with the Braves?
No, I was there when Snit first came up. I was there in Pittsburgh when he won his first game. Yeah, I was there. So I played for him for not long, but for, I don't know, that season. He came up, I think, in May, and he was there till the end. So that was my last year. By the way, yesterday was my last game. 9 years ago. It was an anniversary. So happy anniversary.
That was September 10th? Was your last day?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thanks. Now, many of us can say we got a walk-off hit where we won the game, like Derek Jeter. Oh, wait, except Dansby Swanson didn't score from second. Oops, sorry, Dans.
We need to bring Dansby on to talk about that. I've been waiting for that conversation. So,
but you got a hit. That's fair. You got a hit.
Yeah,
I got a hit, but I thought Dansby was hot, but it was fast, but apparently not. I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. They were trying to hold me down. It's cool. But yeah, no, Snit was great. Listen. I didn't love Snit. I'll be honest. Like Snit and I've had conversations about this. I didn't love Snit when he first came over. He was overwhelmed, and he didn't really know what he was doing. He was kind of put in a terrible spot. They wanted to get rid of Freddie, and they brought Snit in. But he did a really good job, and he's been awesome since. And I have nothing but respect for Brian Snitker and what he's done. He's won a World Series. He's been in the Braves organization for 49 years. He should get the right to go for 50 next year, and I hope he does. I hope he does it because 50 years in one organization is absolutely incredible. So, Snit, come back next year. You guys will be better. You won't have these injuries. And if you come back, you can prove Claudia wrong that she thinks you guys are going to stink again.
And the news was he doesn't know what he's doing yet, but it sounds like he doesn't want to end his career as a manager with this kind of season. So I'm thinking one more year. Hey, Hey, Will Sammon is back on Foul Territory. You can follow him and his coverage in The Athletic. And right now it's getting very interesting, his coverage. Senior writer for The Athletic joining us, covering the Mets all year. Well, Will, here comes the roller coaster back down. Your thoughts on what you're seeing lately from the Mets, but I want to make sure we include the big picture here. The Reds are 2 games back, which is really what? Like 1 game back, because if they're tied, the Reds actually have the tiebreaker and would take them down for a playoff spot. No game 163 these days.
Yeah, you were very gracious, Scott, with calling the coverage interesting because it feels like it's kind of been like the same story every day for a little while, and it's been that way for a little while for the Mets, even beyond this 5-game losing streak, because it keeps happening, these streaks, and so it's very concerning when you're almost at midway point through a season. It's like 70s, upper 70s in the amount of games where they played 15 games below 500 at this point. So that's highly unusual for a team that's should be headed for the playoffs. We think is headed for the playoffs, but that's all but guaranteed at this point, obviously, with just not only the Reds, it's also the Giants too. And the Mets own the tiebreaker over them. But like you said, it's more than them. It's a 3-team race at this point because of what the Mets have failed to accomplish. And that's increase the distance between those teams that really I don't know if you look at those teams and say, okay, those are playoff teams. I'm not really convinced of that. But at this point, I'm not convinced of the Mets either. Every day they tell us that they're not good enough to be in this spot, especially lately. And it's been that case for the past couple of months, really.
Who's the stopper? No, I'm not even just talking about the rotation. I'm talking about like this team. Every good team needs somebody that says, okay, we've lost 5 in a row. We're playing a division opponent that, you know what, we've annihilated them at home. I'm stepping up to be the stopper. Sometimes, some teams, it's like a Tarek Skubal. It's an ace. Clearly, this team doesn't have it, and I know you're going to point to like a Nolan McLean and all that stuff. But is there somebody in the offense, in the bullpen, somebody that can say, you know what, this is the end. We're not losing today?
I'm not sure they have that guy. I'm really not. I think it should be somebody like a Francisco Lindor or a Juan Soto or somebody like that, but I'm not convinced that that person in that specific role exists. I think that they have players that exhibit good leadership qualities in other ways. I think Lindor checks a lot of boxes in that way, but I'm not sure if he's the guy that is rah, hey, we're going to win this game today type of guy. And he's that guy that sort of brings that edge to the roster or to the clubhouse. I'm not sure. And to be fair to the Mets, I'm not sure if there are more than, say, 5 or 6 guys in baseball who qualify for that sort of moniker. That's just not the way it is these days. I don't think that there are too many guys who are very vocal in that way, unfortunately, in a lot of cases. And as far as the talent goes, yeah, like they have guys who will theoretically step up in those situations. You mentioned McLean. He could be that guy from a starting pitching perspective. But the other day, he threw a fairly solid game and they lost. And they really can't afford to be doing that anymore. And so it's not guaranteed there. And Juan Soto, too, has performed fairly well or exceptionally well in some cases over the last few weeks. And they've still suffered through this. And so I think it goes beyond that. But that's part of it. I think that is kind of part of it, that in that clubhouse, there may not be a guy that rises to the occasion in that way. And again, like Lindor is a great leader in some ways and in some facets, but that may not be one of the boxes that he checks off definitively.
Well, it's got to be a pitcher, though. What pitcher? You mentioned McLean. It's got to be a pitcher that steps up and says, guys, I'm throwing a shutout tonight. Score me 1 run. Do the Mets have that guy? Because I don't see that. Even McLean, you mentioned he pitched pretty well. He gave up 1 run and lost.
Mm-hmm.
They lost 1-0. So Manaea hasn't been at that guy. Peterson's been their best, but he's struggled lately. Senga's in AAA. Tong, is it Tong? He's too young, right? I mean, is it Sprout? I mean, who can it be? Because it has to be a pitcher. Like you can say, oh, the lineup has to do this, but the lineup doesn't always come around to Lindor, Soto, Alonso in big situations. So who's the pitcher that they can count on to say, all right, guys, I'm going to give you 6 shutty, go score 1 so we can get the ball to Diaz in the 9th and we can finish this game off and get a win and get straightened out?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be McLean. He has exemplified and he has exhibited the marks of a quality pitcher, if not even a number one type of guy, for me, he would be their game one pitcher. And it's kind of a shame because in him, I do think that they have a game one pitcher. It's just, will they have a game one to play? I don't know, maybe. But I feel like McClain is that guy. And yes, you pointed rightfully so to that game recently where he did throw a fairly good game and they ended up losing. But that's not on him. I think that he has done everything throughout his 5 starts to put them in position to win each of those games. And in 4 of them they have. And in that one they didn't because they're just not clicking on the other facets of the game. So McClain, I like a lot of what he has shown. I think everybody has. He is that guy for me. It's just a shame because they don't have anybody who is really coming close to being that otherwise. Because like you mentioned, Peterson had been that guy for a while. He has lately stumbled. And I think that's going to come with the territory a little bit with just the style of pitcher that he is. You have more balls in play with him. He's not somebody that racks up strikeouts. So the ball will be there. And if your defense is not on par, which a lot of times for the Mets it has not been, sometimes it's not going to look that as good as it otherwise would. So that's been the issue there. And then, like you mentioned, you went through the list, AJ. Minaya has not been that guy. Senga's in AAA. Clay Holmes has not been that guy. And then the other 2 rookies that you mentioned have a combined, 2-3 starts between them. So they're not going to be that guy quite yet. So that's the situation that they're in. They're just not getting quality or length from their veterans in that rotation. And it's really put them in a bind because you're asking a lot of the bullpen, and the bullpen has not been as good as it should be. And then you're relying on the offense, which has been wildly inconsistent.
What is the reason that a 30-30 season from Juan Soto just kind of got glossed over? Was it the fact that he stole third down by 5 and it was kind of a, look at me, I'm going to get my stats with 2 outs and get that? Or is it the fact that when you sign a $700 million contract that fans and even some media kind of expect great things like 30-30 and we just gloss over it?
He's the highest paid player ever. And he's paid that much because of what he does as a hitter, right? Like he is in the top 1% of hitters. That's why he is paid. He is not in the top 1% of base running or defense, things like that. He is a hitter. And he is very, very, very good, generational talent at that. And so that's why he's getting paid that amount of money. And I think when that happens, we look at his numbers and we say, okay, he should also be doing this, that, and the other thing. And that's just never been the case for him. So, and with the stolen bases, yes, it's some of that has happened where he has been a little bit too aggressive with it. And it almost feels like he's just kind of doing it in weird spots. And you pointed rightfully so to the last stolen base where they were down 5 late in the game and it was irrelevant. And it just was not a team kind of first play because it didn't really change anything. It wasn't going to change anything. They were still going to have a lot of work ahead of them to win that game, whether he steals third base or not in that situation. So when that starts to happen, it loses its luster a little bit. And a lot of his stolen bases, frankly, have happened since August. And so I think the number kind of crept up on a lot of people where, yes, he was showing signs of like being a threat on the bases for a little while, even though he is not fast. He has been doing it in other ways, getting big jumps, that kind of thing. But it all kind of picked up the pace in August. And I think he set his sights on 30 stolen bases. And now he may set his sights on 40. I think it's in the realm of possibility, even though we're down to 16 games left in the season for the Mets. The way that he is running, I think it's on the list of possibilities for Soto.
Well, the main question is, are the Mets fans happy with Juan Soto his first year? I mean, look at the numbers. The numbers are 921 OPS, 920 OPS, around there. Are the Mets fans happy? And is this, maybe the better way to put it, is this a hollow 30-30, especially if the Mets don't make the postseason? Because you mentioned the stolen bases. He had a home run down 11-2 last night. But is this what the Mets fans expected, or do they want more? Has this been a good year for Juan Soto? Not numbers wise, but according to Mets fans, which is, as we know in New York, is all that really matters.
Yeah, and the context is everything, right? Like, again, he's the highest paid player in baseball history, and we have these huge expectations. So, yeah, I think he's having a great season, even by Mets fans' measures. And that may not have been my take maybe a month ago. But since, say, August, he has really, really turned it on. And yeah, the last couple of games, it's been like the equivalent of racking up some style points in garbage time. But I would not pin that on Juan Soto. I mean, that's the Mets' problem as a team. And I think a lot of fans now have seen that Juan Soto has sort of he has risen to the occasion here late in the season, and I don't think you could take that away. There was a game against Detroit where they don't win that game unless Juan Soto performs the way that Juan Soto performs, where he had the grand slam and the triple. He won them that game, and that's been happening. So my answer would have been different a month ago because that was not happening. He was failing in critical spots. His numbers with runners in scoring position were not good, but that has changed lately. And so I know some of the instances and examples that you cited are not great for this conversation, but that's also a little bit of like recency there with just the past couple of games. But when you look at just since August, I think he's redeemed himself in a lot of Mets fans' eyes. And they look at this, I think at least, as the team is crumbling, whereas he's been like one of the only guys who have steadily performed since August and into September. And I think that he deserves some credit for that, actually.
Okay. Were you at the home series for the Mets against the Phillies, and you've been at this series in Philly? What on earth is the difference in the Phillies? We've kind of hit on the Mets a lot, but what do you see different from the Phillies? I get it, who lined up in the starting rotation did matter and who's thrown for them, but what do you see different? Because when we get to the playoffs, and I think the Mets will most likely make the playoffs, there's a good chance the Mets play the Phillies at Citi Field at some time, and then also at Citizens Bank.
Yeah, at this point, yes. The only difference is the venue. It's the setting, right? Like for whatever reason, the Phillies just cannot win at Citi Field. It's crazy, and I think that everybody wanted to say like when that started to happen and the Mets played exceptionally well against the Phillies at Citi Field, people wanted to say like, oh, the Mets have their number. That's not the case. And that wasn't really the case even dating back to last year, where the Mets had a hard time in Philadelphia. And then they had a hard time in Philadelphia earlier in the season too. And that was the site of another bad stretch of games for the Mets earlier. So I can't really explain it. I think it's a little bit baffling, to be honest with you. I will say that the difference that I've noticed in this particular series has been really the trade deadline acquisitions on both sides. I think for the Phillies, they've hit on those guys, whereas the Mets, and I like their moves, to be completely honest. I like their offseason. I like their trade deadline. But the results haven't worked out. And I think that's been the biggest difference lately when you look at both those teams, in addition to just also, you're getting 50 home runs from Schwarber, the difference of the lineup. But when you subtract the entire left side of the infield from the Phillies at the start of the series, and they still take the first 3 games, and they do so rather easily, that's problematic. And it just speaks to a lot more issues other than the venue and other than just one or two things. It's just two teams in totally different directions right now.
Well, 2 things. How worried are you about Ryan Helsley? Is he tipping? We keep hearing this, but everyone that I know that's looked hasn't seen anything. And then 2, after you answer that, I have a quick follow-up and a yes or no question for you.
Yeah, I'm worried about Helsley because it's just he hasn't had even consecutive outings with the Mets yet where he hasn't given up a run. He's had some outings that he's been okay. The other day he had a clean inning, and a lot of people within the Mets were pretty confident and happy about that, and they were optimistic that maybe he had turned the corner. But then last night, he again had a bad inning, and it just didn't look good. And whether he's tipping or not, he said that he has corrected the issue. He thinks that he was, and sometimes even if like maybe that's a little bit overblown, you guys know as former players, like that can get in guys' heads a little bit or a lot, depending on the guy. And once that happens, it's problematic because then you're trying to figure things out. Maybe it messes with your mechanics. It could be a lot of things. He had said that he had figured it out, but if he's figured it out and he's still having innings like he had yesterday, that's also concerning because it's problematic either way. So it's a concern, and it's troubling because the Mets obviously didn't think this would happen. They gave up real value in that trade with the Cardinals. They expected a lot from this guy, and he's somebody now that if the Mets were to make a playoff roster right now, would he even be on it? I'm not sure. It's because you can't really feel good about pitching him in key situations right now.
All right, do the Mets make it? Do the Mets make it? Yes or no? Do the Mets make it? With the way they're playing, with the Giants, the Reds, everyone on their heels, do they make it? Yes or no?
I go yes. I still go yes. I just think that the two games plus the tiebreaker in one of those situations, it matters a lot still. It's still just enough. And a lot of my answer is because I just don't think the Reds and the Giants are good enough to do it either. And that may be irrelevant because if the Mets continue to lose, it doesn't matter. But I think that the Mets do enough, barely enough to hold on here.
Okay. Yeah. One more against the
Mets
Phillies,
Dodgers.
then
Mets
Texas.
Dodgers, here we go.
Mets Dodgers. Yeah, that's what it would be. They got to get through, Philly, then Texas, San Diego, Washington, Cubs, and they finish with the Marlins, who love playing spoiler against the Mets. All right, so you got some basically playoff games that you're covering the next couple weeks. Will, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Everyone check out what Will's bringing to the table on The Athletic every day covering the Mets. Appreciate you, Will.
Of course. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, FT fam, we'll be right back. We are longtime fans of Omaha Steaks, and I am drooling looking at the website right now, featuring USDA certified tender steaks, and also during their Red Hot sale event going on right now this fall, 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus for the FT fam, an extra $35 off with promo code FOUL at checkout. You've been a big fan of Omaha Steaks since your early days as a pro.
Brings me back to my low A-ball days, because we used to survive on this. We get a big order at the beginning of the year, cook them on our little electric grill, a can of peas, some mac and cheese. That was dinner for 4. We survived off Omaha Steaks. It still has a special place in my heart.
You thrived.
Well,
you guys ate like kings.
Yeah.
That's special. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot sale event, and for an extra $35 off, promo code FOUL at checkout. 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code FOUL at checkout. See site for details. Dig in. Yeah, it's lunchtime for some of you, so get after it. Omaha Steaks, baby. Aroldis Chapman finally gave up. I look too big. Here we go. Aroldis Chapman finally gave up a hit. Not a run, a hit. Obviously gave up a run too, AJ, but we've been covering this for a minute. First hit allowed since July 23rd. That was Shea Langoliers, and then Lawrence Butler later walked them off. So Aroldis Chapman, after months, proves human.
It was going to happen. It was going to happen. And by the way, I saw all this 50 consecutive people retired. There was walks, and we had this conversation.
Yeah,
it wasn't 50. It was 50 consecutive outs without a hit. Like, let's get it straight, because I remember Burley and Bobby Jenks at one time had the longest consecutive batters retired streak of all time. So, it wasn't 50 consecutive. It was 50 guys without getting a hit, which is cool. But yeah, he was on fire. He was going to give it up eventually. Everyone does. I mean, the greatest of all time have given up. Mariano Rivera's given it up. Trevor Hoffman's given it up. Clase last year gave it up. It was a great run, and he's still one of the best pitchers, if not the best reliever in the American League. So, yeah, the A's finally got to him. Somebody finally got to him, and it took a couple hits, and left on left for Butler. Good for him, man.
Yeah, the Law Dog was definitely. I mean, that was a tough at bat, but tie ball game. It's like one of those things where it's like closers rarely do well when they're in the game and they're losing. Tie ball game. It feels like sometimes that's when they give it up, but also, like, you're gonna give it up. You're gonna be the GOAT for saving the game, or you're gonna be the one that is forever remembered. That's the life of a closer, and that's the only life that Chappie's lived.
Let's hit better than box scores, and we're covering the Seattle Mariners. And they are back on track, guys. As expected. You just need to get home. Get home. Pick up some walk-off dubs. So Leo Rivas in the bottom of the 13th gets the job done. First pitch dinger. Maybe not a name that most of you know, but the Mariners players seemed to speak glowingly about him and how happy they were that he came through. I think the funny part for me, AJ, is he was practicing bunting leading up to this AB behind the scenes. Actually, we do have a clip of him talking about it, so let's do that first, and then we'll react.
To do and really gonna be honest. I was trying to bunt, but they tell me don't bunt, just swing. I'm like, all right. I was just trying to move him over, and I didn't even see the first baseman. It was so close. So thank God I hit it in the air. If not, it could have been worse.
When did you get the signal to swing away? Was it while you were in the batter's box?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because probably every time in baseball in that situation you've had to bunt. Right?
Yeah, every time. Even I was practicing bunt in the cage though. While they were on defense, I was trying my bunting. All right, let's see. And then they told me, yeah, hey, you gotta swing, just move him over. I'm like, that's crazy. That was amazing. Yeah.
That's cool. And AJ, while you react to this, we can show the photo of how close the first baseman was to Leo Rivas when he was given the green light.
It was awesome. Yeah, I mean, first baseman. Wow, that is right in your face. I don't know. Is that Contreras playing first right there? Who is that playing
Has to
first?
be,
I
right?
don't know. Oh no, Contreras suspended though? I thought he got suspended, or did he appeal?
I'll find it.
Did he appeal his
Oh,
appeal? No, yeah, it was Contreras. Yeah, that is too close for comfort. And you know what? They weren't expecting him to go deep. He hit a homer. Good for him, man. Good for the kid. And in a huge pennant race, people, these are the kind of things. If the Mariners go on to make a run and make the postseason and make a run, it's at bats like this that people remember forever. So good for Mr. Rivas. And man, I would not have been to Contreras because I would have been like, this is way too close for comfort right here.
Jeez, I mean, they said, hey, you're gonna take away the bunt. Well, they did, and Rivas, for everybody out there, kids, he was told to get the job done, get the runner over. That means he has to pull the ball to the right side, which also means you got to catch the ball out in front. What happens when you catch the ball out in front? Sometimes it goes out of the ballpark. But exactly what AJ said, there's going to be fans in Seattle, no matter what kind of run they make. This is a playoff season. It's making memories for fans. They're going to be like, oh, man. What was it? Leo Rivas. Leo Rivas. Oh, that was my guy. Yo, he was like 27 years old, barely made the big leagues till he was 26. Like, you remember stories like this, and it's nights like this. 13th inning. It was so sick.
It's crazy. We entered the month, AJ, looking at races that were meh in terms of who's getting in and who's not, and the National League's getting more and more interesting. On the American League side, we've been covering Texas. That's probably the best shot of sneaking in past, not necessarily Seattle. Seattle's one game back of Houston. So they've got a shot to catch them.
Yeah. Texas is right there too. Texas just swept the Brewers. So it's amazing though how a week ago we're like, the races are done. It's all about positioning. And now all of a sudden you're like, could some team sneak in? The National League one is the one that's crazy to me because they went from the Mets were 4, 5, 6 games up not long ago, and now it's 2, and they don't have the tiebreaker. We just had Will Sammon on. He's got to be sweating. The Mets got to be sweating. We love Mendy, but man, I think if you ask him for real, Mendy's sweating a little bit right now, and I don't know how they turn it around because their pitching is so banged up. I don't know, but they got to get out of Philadelphia. They need to win today in Philadelphia. They got to win tonight on Fox. Kenny Rosenthal will be there. Is good. Their good luck charm. He can give them some good luck, and maybe he can find Grimace, and they can hang out together. But they got to win tonight in Philadelphia, and then start stacking some wins.
Mets need a gimmick. That's it.
That's their thing.
Last year they had like 6 gimmicks. The pumpkin, Grimace, OMG. Gimmick.
They got their best guy going. Listen, they got the guy who's been the best for them all year. They got Peterson going tonight against Luzardo. And Luzardo's been good, but Peterson's been their guy. They got to win this game tonight before where do they go? Then they got Texas coming in with DeGrom. They get DeGrom tomorrow. So in his homecoming to New York. So they need to win tonight. They need to win tonight because tomorrow is Tong versus DeGrom. And I would think you would like DeGrom's chances tomorrow night.
So let's get to the team chasing them. We've talked Mets, now Reds. Annie Sabo joining us next. She covers the Reds on TV, and she'll swing by FT. FT fam, let's talk about Fair Harbor. And if you're listening, I hope that you watch this conversation at some point because we're doing show and tell, Kratz. Shorts, they can be used as a bathing suit. And the liner, which we call butter, is the game breaker. It's the playmaker because it's different.
You've worn shorts that are not like this, and the liner sucks. They are buttery on your butt.
I just came up with something for them. Your liner sucks. Get Fair Harbor liner. Seriously, give it a shot. I'm not just saying this. The butter analogy plays. And FT fam, you know we're hooking you up. fairharborclothing.com/foul. 20% off when you use the code FOUL on your first purchase. Once again, that's fairharbor clothing.com/FOUL for 20% off your first purchase and use promo code FOUL. Hey guys, what do we have on Paul Skenes getting the load management situation? Yesterday pulled, his team ultimately loses. The Orioles are pulling a bunch of walk-offs lately, but he had 8 punch-outs, AJ, and they only let him go 64 pitches. I mean, their season's been over for a long time, but I guess they're just trying to keep him in check to get through the end of the year. Why?
Why not just let him roll? Let him see what he can do. So next year he can build him up again. I mean, geez, it's not like he's struggling this year. He's got a 1.92 ERA, 5 innings. For his career, 192 this year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
192 this year. 192 this year in 178 innings. Let's let him get a couple more. I mean, he probably has the Cy Young wrapped up in the National League, but it would be cool if he could get to 200 innings and how many ever strikeouts he has and all those numbers, because it's just an awesome story. The Pirates, you have one thing going for you right now. You got one thing going for you right now, Pittsburgh. It's Paul Skenes. Let him ride. Let's ride.
No, AJ. They know better. They have handled pitchers in history. They have handled pitchers so much better than everybody else. They have kept them all healthy. They know what they're doing. There's no way Paul Skenes could have survived 2 more innings of pitching. There's just no way. I'm sure that's just the best thing for him.
Yeah.
But
piggyback
Tyler
Skenes and Bubba Chandler.
Well, Bubba Chandler got hit his first start, so they're probably never going to start him again.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I can't. That was all sarcasm, people.
We have Annie Sabo joining us right now on FT. She covers the Reds on TV, reporter, host, and now with us. Hey, Annie, great to have you on here. We appreciate the time. Are you surprised that the Reds are where they are right now?
Yes, I'm completely surprised, guys. I feel like there have been several times this season where I feel like not only us local reporters, but the national media has completely counted the Reds out, right? And myself included. But every single time that I feel that way, they have scratched and clawed and fought their way back into the playoff picture, which is where they stand right now. So, surprised I was earlier in the season, but I think now we're just kind of accustomed to the Reds being, everyone thinks they're completely out of it, and then they go on to win 4 of their last 5, and right now they're back in it again.
Are they back in it because of the Reds, or are they back in it because of the Mets?
I think after Friday's loss to the Mets, right, to go and win 4 of your last 5, maybe a combination of both. I can't say I saw the Mets playing as poorly as they are right now a couple of months ago. I didn't necessarily see that coming. However, Cincinnati fans everywhere will take it. But no, I think the Reds, in the clubhouse all season long, despite some skids, especially offensively throughout this season, there's a belief in the clubhouse that they can and will make the postseason. And here we are with 16 games left to play.
Annie, a question for you. How good has this rotation been? This team, Lodolo, Abbott, Singer, all these guys, the last few times through have been really good. How good have they been, and can they finish this month off as strong as they have been for the last couple of times through.
Yeah, I think so. I think, as I mentioned just a moment ago, the offense has been too inconsistent for my liking at times. However, the starting rotation has been the strength of this team all season long. I mean, it was a huge blow when Hunter Green went on the IL, but he's back. In the bullpen, we're getting some arms back. Chase Burns and Graham Ashcraft were just recently activated. They're going to be with the team in Oakland, ready to go. But I mean, the starting rotation, I mean, even, Brady Singer, who kind of started off the year a little bit slower. I mean, he's had a great month of August to, add to the overall excellence that we've seen day in, day out from this Red starting rotation. And yeah, I mean, if everyone stays healthy, which is always year to year iffy for the Red starting rotation, if they can stay healthy and finish this year out strong, I mean, we have Brady Singer, Hunter Green, and Nick Lodolo going into Oakland coming up, then yeah, I mean, I think they've been excellent, and that's a unit that I count on when the offense isn't necessarily there. And yeah, I mean, the Red starting rotation, not only this season, but for years to come, has been a highlight and just so consistent.
What about the bullpen? Let's say this happens. Let's say the Mets continue to drop like they're dropping and the Reds win enough to get in because they have the easiest path, not schedule-wise, but with the tiebreaker and everything. Is this bullpen built with Emilio Pagan and the boys to succeed in the playoffs?
I do. I think that something that's been talked about this season in the clubhouse is that this clubhouse has a bunch of dogs in there. And I think, despite some recent struggles from Emilio Pagan, I mean, he is, in my personal opinion, the best clubhouse leader there is in this locker room. Granted, he's one of the oldest in there right now. But yes, I believe getting, Chase Burns as a starter, I mean, he is a rookie. I mean, I do think he'll help bolster the bullpen, but having Graham Ashcraft coming back to start the series in Oakland will be huge. Yes, I do think they have the strength to withstand these last 16 games or so. And, I think it's nice that today the Reds have an off day before the series in Oakland begins, or with the A's begins, to maybe have a team meeting if needed at all. But yeah, I mean, I think the bullpen, I think the Reds have had their leads, given up leads far too easily this season. But I think right now it's kind of do or die for the Reds and for, the starting rotation to the bullpen. And I think the bullpen, led by closer Emilio Pagan, will be able to get the job done. And hopefully the Mets continue to crumble. We'll take that.
All right. Well, nothing happens for the Reds if they don't get one guy going. And he's got 4 names. Elly De La Cruz. His power has been absent. His star power is always there, and he's always looming. To me, when I watch games now, though, and I don't watch every Reds game, but when I do, I turn to Ellie's at-bats because I'm like, this is when he's going to turn it around. Some of his at-bats, even from the left side where he's stronger, look like they're non-competitive. Like it's like he's waiting for this certain pitch and he's not hitting it, and he's still striking out at the same rate. And now the power's gone. Is there something we're missing?
No, I don't think so. Just kind of, I feel like the ebbs and flows for Elly. I mean, I feel like yes, he has superstar ability at the plate and defensively, but at the same time, I think we forget that, he's still a young kid and still learning. I feel like, especially this season, yes, he's had some slumps that have lasted a little bit longer in comparison to seasons past. However, it seems like whenever there is a moment for Elly to show up, when situations get dire, I mean, looking ahead to the next 16 games, it seems like for whatever reason, he is able to turn things around. So I fully anticipate Elly turning things around sooner rather than later. However, I do understand what you're saying. Some of his at-bats this season for longer periods of time have looked to be more non-competitive. However, that's a guy that you don't necessarily lose faith in ever throughout the season, despite him going through a longer slump like he is right now.
Annie, Terry Francona has a highly decorated career. What's it been like for him taking over this team, especially right now where the team has kind of thrust themselves back into the postseason conversation. What's he like running the team over the last couple weeks?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, before I even get to that, I mean, having covered the Reds for several seasons, I mean, you hear all these stories about Terry Francona, and he comes as advertised. I mean, he's a breath of fresh air. He's hilarious in pre and post game press conferences, and the players truly respect him and appreciate all of the experience that he brings into this clubhouse. He's really big on holding the players accountable and being accountable, not necessarily yelling at players, things like that. But I think that this year there's just a new level of what's expected from the players because Terry Francona is here, and I think that's helped the team a whole lot. And I think that, I mean, Terry hasn't changed from game one to now. I mean, even in pre and press game post conferences, he doesn't look beyond one single game ahead or even, behind in the schedule. So I think that maybe his experience level and being able to deal with teams that are on the brink of making, the postseason could help this team, maybe the intangible side of things. But no, I mean, he hasn't changed. I mean, over the last couple of weeks, I mean, he's the same old guy looking at one game at a time. Task at hand is to win the game, and that's pretty much who he is. But I definitely do think, this last stretch of games, just having his experience level and what he expects out of this team with 16 games left will be a huge help.
Annie, I have your game next Thursday against the Cubby Bears.
I'll be there.
What should I expect? Thank God. I mean, I don't know how I'd survive if you weren't there. You can tell the rest of everyone that they can take the night off. Okay. So, but what I want to know is, are the fans behind this Reds team? Are they showing up and showing out? So when I walk into Small Park next weekend or next Thursday, a week from tonight, will there be a packed pro Reds crowd, or will I have to listen to the Cubby Bear fans come down to Cincinnati and cheer?
Mixed bag, because last time there were a lot of Cubs fans there. However, I think it's dependent on, the series against the A's. However, I would hope that fans show up. The last 4 series or so are against division opponents. Mixed bag. Based on the last series against the Cubs, they played at Great American Ballpark. However, yes, I would expect this last 16 games or so, Great American Ballpark to be pretty packed. I mean, that's what it was like in 2023 when the Reds were in the wild card hunt until the very final week of the season. I mean, it was in 2023, that was one of my favorite moments of my entire career, just seeing Great American Ballpark so packed during the month of September until, the last week where they were finally not in contention anymore. So yes, I would assume that Reds fans would be there. If not, if any Reds fans are listening to this podcast, I suggest that you show up for the entirety of this Reds season right now.
Agreed. All right. Well, then that leads me to my next question. Since you have all of the putters behind you, are you going to take me golfing on Thursday morning? That's a better question.
Well, I am not the golfer. My husband is. He plays on the PGA Tour. He's in Napa Valley right now playing in the Procore Championship. So this is his project behind me. I can play golf. I still have some athleticism left. But no, he is the golfer in the family, and we have way too many golf clubs. However, I can tell you places to golf in Cincinnati, and I have people there who could get you a tee time. Just let me know.
Okay, thank you, because you got way too many putters. You have way too much money invested in your putters.
Oh, don't even get me started about it. We have more in the garage. Don't worry.
If your husband needs some lefties, though, let me know. I'm happy to sell him some.
That's good. Well, AJ, it's his job. So, I mean, not spending too much money on it, that's his career.
No, I agree. But still, usually you don't see putter covers hanging on the walls. And let me change it. This is going to sound really bad. You usually don't see women sitting in front of putters and putter covers on their wall. Usually guys, yes, I know friends that have like hundreds of putters, which makes no sense to me. But you usually don't see women doing that.
Yeah, no, none of this is mine. I usually pick out the colors or like the different head covers prior to each tournament, which I do because I like certain colors, and he usually takes those with him. But no, I mean, I'll go out to the driving range and hit balls. And if my 2-year-old daughter eventually wants to get into it, then sure, I'll take lessons and start to really practice. But that's all him. And that was
Okay.
his project.
The only golf course I played in Cincinnati is Coldstream, so that's the only one that I know in Cincinnati.
That's a really good one. But I have others if you're in need.
Okay.
You're going to get the top secret list, AJ. It's coming your
All
way.
right. I like
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Well, Annie, thank you so much for stopping by and enlightening us on the Reds, and we appreciate the time.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's Annie Sabo. You can catch her on Reds TV coverage, host, reporter, and on Twitter at Annie Sabo _. We spend a lot of time on the road. We are often concerned about our online security when you're logging in from all over the globe, really. So you should maybe look into a VPN. What does that stand for, Kratz?
Virtual private network.
Boom, nailed it. And that virtual private network that you should look into is called Surfshark. It is time to take control of your online security and try Surfshark today. You can enjoy their 30-day money-back guarantee and secure your digital world right now by visiting the link that we'll post there for you and start surfing securely. Surfshark.com/foul or the code foul at checkout will get you 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN, aka Virtual Private Network. It's a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Surfshark's unique VPN benefits include use on unlimited devices in 100 countries and 24/7 support at surfshark.com/FOUL. This has been your tech update. Keep your data safe. Okay, so the Dodgers are gaining some separation here in the division. They're up 3 games on the Padres, and it's time to remind everyone about tiebreakers. They're really up 4 games on the Padres because they won the season series. Tough loss for them yesterday. They brought in Adrian Morejon to try and pick out a, 4 or 5 out save. Ends up giving up a couple runs. Although I will say it's not like the Reds torched them. They had a couple bleeders that went through for them, but that's how the game works. They got them. They had the bunt hit plus the 2 bleeders. Abbott was great on the Red side. Nick Pivetta pitched well on the San Diego side, but AJ, it looks like the Dodgers are going to take the division.
I don't really think we were too worried about that. But here's my real question. The night before they threw Suarez and Miller, so they were shut down. I know they have an unbelievable bullpen, but sometimes you got to save bullets, And last 2 nights ago they didn't, and then that led to Morejon having to do what he did. So I don't know. I'm not fully into their bullpen management, but sometimes they don't exactly. Sometimes I think Mike Schopp just goes for it, and there are times where you got to take a step back and say, all right, we can win this game maybe without using all of our bullets. I don't know.
Yeah, they had a lot of NA yesterday, a lot of not available from the big boys.
It's all part. This stuff comes. Everybody has to be when you play a bullpen game. I'm not saying that's what they have to play, but in the playoffs, most likely that's how they're set up. And everybody has to be on. One guy has a little hiccup playing against another playoff team. It could spell doom.
Hey, this is big news out of Baltimore for those frustrated Orioles fans that have been calling for the job of the leader of their front office. Think again. He actually was promoted before the season started. Mike Elias is now the president of the team's baseball operations department, and they are looking to expand the front office and hire a general manager underneath him. They've already been expanding as they added an assistant to the general manager who came over from the Washington Nationals, their scouting director, Danny Haas. But let's start with the big portion of the news here, AJ. I mean, it definitely dominated talk shows in Baltimore as the season fell apart pretty quickly. They're like, is Mike Elias going to be working on another offseason for Baltimore? How about a hell yes? He's actually promoted right before the season started.
How come this is just coming out now, though? That's what I want to know.
They just found out.
I know, but why is this not talked about all the time? Like why are front office salaries and front office contracts kept so secret? Not just in baseball, but in every sport. If players' contracts should be out there, so should be front office team people, and so should presidents and all that. I don't understand why this is such a secret and it's coming out now. But Mike Elias is the power, and he ain't going anywhere anytime soon, people. So I hope you like him.
And what if GM gets more leeway into making a little bit better signings in the offseason, spending the money that the ownership has given you a little bit better than what they did? I know they missed out on a couple signings that they didn't ultimately go and use their allotted money for. It was a lost season. Do I think Mike Elias has done better for this organization than worse? Yes, I do. Do I think he should be an unchecked resource of free agent signings? No. His history has been developing talent. I think they have developed talent. I'm not going to argue, is it this most amazing talent ever? No, I'm not going to argue that, but you have to get people to get across the finish line. And hopefully as a president of baseball operations, he's willing to ask that question of his new GM, whoever that is and whatever that role is going to be. Is he going to ask that question, hey, am I doing this right? Should we be looking at something else to make the big league team better?
I think the GM is just going to be a helpful component to the way the front office operates. The GM's not making the final call on anything big. That's the president and then the owner.
But that's why teams like the Rays, and I know the Rays are small market, but everybody sits there and goes, we want to be the Rays. You want to be the Rays, you have to get your ego out of it. How many times do we hear ego come into play with the Rays? No, because there's just, that's how they operate. Everybody has a say. Ultimately, there's decision makers in the end, but everybody truly feels, all the way down to the third hitting coach, the assistant to the assistant hitting coach, has a say if they feel like there's a margin that they can get better, if they feel like there's a player that could be brought in to fill a hole that they aren't able to fill in the roster to make the big league roster better. And that is what, in my opinion, the best teams do, that have the best, yes, it's still a hierarchy, but everybody's feelings and decisions and wants and desires are at least heard.
I think fans should be entitled to knowing, yes, what the money looks like, but even more importantly, what the years look like on contracts for significant front office executives. AJ, what if the Orioles have another down year and miss the playoffs next year? But maybe Mike Elias signed a 5-year contract. I have no idea. We don't know. As far as I know, it didn't say anything in the article. This was Ken Rosenthal and Britt Giroli in The Athletic doing a great job of it, but we don't know. So
I agree. Why do we not know?
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. Why do we not know? Why can we not find this information out? Why will they not tell us this information? It's the same in every sport, though. It happens in every sport. Every sport you follow, they're like, oh, by the way, so-and-so signed a contract extension last year. Why the hell didn't we know this when they signed? Why don't they announce these things? Why do they keep these secret? That's what I want to know.
The Orioles season, there wasn't a time. They're like, hey, we're going to announce this at the end of April when we're leading the American League East. Okay. When we get hot in May, that's when we're going to announce it. It's going to have a hot stretch, couple walk-offs. All right, here we are in September. We had 4 of our last 5 wins or walk-offs. We got to announce it now. We got to tell somebody.
They didn't announce it. I mean, Ken and Britt found out about it probably because they're searching for a GM. And then the GM's like, oh, is the president going to be there long term? And they're like, yeah. I mean, or is Mike Elias there? And they're like, yeah, we're hiring someone below him. We locked him up to a promotion before the season started. So this happened before the season started, Kratz. I mean, even if it happened the day before the season started, announce it. I don't think it did. I think it happened in the winter.
They don't do this with players. Players don't get contracts and not talk about it. I know I signed a contract extension in the middle of a season one time. They were doing it that day. They couldn't wait to announce it. Why don't we do the same?
That's because players are the only ones that make any money in baseball. Owners don't make any money. Front office doesn't make any money. That's how they want to keep painting that picture so that the public only thinks the players are the only millionaires in baseball.
Right. Well, I can guarantee you it's at least $5 million a year for him. And I know the top end, it's what, 10, 12, 15, something like that for the top end guys. Yeah, in the front offices. So they're doing okay. And their jobs usually last much longer. Besides a few superstars, their jobs usually last, quite a bit these days. I mean, Michael Elias is a perfect example. He entered in the middle of a super tank, AJ. I mean, the first two full seasons were 100+ loss seasons for him taking over, and that's fine. But this team tanked for a half a decade.
They tanked this year.
Yeah, I mean, not on purpose.
in a different way.
Yeah, they had 2 good years. They had 2 good seasons.
But they didn't win a playoff game. They didn't
No.
win They didn't win one. Uno. They didn't win playoff game. Not one. They had the best record. Didn't win playoff game. So then they have this year. Like, wow. Okay.
But they made a lot this year. They made a lot of moves at the trade deadline last year to really fortify that team, right?
They got Trevor Rogers, their ace. I'm flipping on that one. But I get what you're saying. It did not work out for them last year with the moves that they made.
Who's responsible for that? Because it's not like the Orioles were just hot all the way into the trade deadline and they're like, hey, we don't need anybody. We are good to go. No, they were already kind of swooning a little. They were kind of like somebody help us here, get us a big piece. Ooh, we got Trevor Rogers, who we ended up sending down to AAA. Looks good. Looks like a good trade now.
But is it though for Stowers? Stowers? Would you rather have Stowers or Rogers? Because right now their outfield ain't hitting either. But their outfield ain't hitting either, right? If they had Stowers all year, would he have helped? Because I know he's hurt, but he's been hurt, but like he was banging before he got hurt.
They need starting pitching, though. That's the problem. Here's my thing, guys.
He wasn't the answer at the time. He wasn't the answer.
No doubt.
They should have went out and made the trade. Guess who was available this offseason? Garrett Crochet. Guess who they didn't go get? Garrett Crochet. Because they wanted controllable starters. What did the Red Sox do? They went out and got Garrett Crochet. And thank you, Red Sox, because Kyle Teal looks like he's going to be really good. Mydroth looks like he's going to really help this team for the White Sox coming, right? But the Red Sox gave up players for a guy, and then what did they do? They signed him. This is what the Orioles haven't done. They went out and got Corbin Burns. Now, Corbin Burns ended up blowing his elbow out this year, and that looks great, but they didn't know that at the time. But they had Corbin Burns, and they just let him walk, right? They were looking for controllable guys. Why do they got to be controllable? Why do they have to be – go get the guy that you think will help you win playoff games and get you to the playoffs and make a deep run. And then you know what? If you like him, re-sign him. Don't just let him walk out the door for a draft pick.
They did that the year before with Corbin Burns. That's and it definitely helped them out. Yeah, exactly. They did that with Corbin. And, he didn't get run support in the playoffs. But here's my thing, guys. If I'm the owner of the Orioles, next year is the year. We either make the playoffs or we don't. That's what I would be saying if I'm the Orioles owner, right? We make the playoffs, even if it's a wild card spot. It's not an easy division. Okay. Miss the playoffs. Someone else should be running the front office. But the vibes I'm getting here are that somebody just got promoted and probably has many years left on a deal. So this is the part that I think is interesting for Orioles fans. This season is this season already. It's over. It's been over for a long period of time. But next year is the make it or break it year for many people judging this team. But I don't think it's actually the make it or break it year for Michael Elias anymore, Kratz.
No, but this ownership, what kind of information is this ownership going on? The ink was barely dry on the contract for buying the team. And then they signed him to a new extension. Like, hey, you look like the best guy to run this organization. Look at all that you've done. They may have signed themselves into something that they didn't really know what they were getting into.
That's true. Okay. Well, Orioles fans, if you're catching
this. That's what GMs, listen, you want to know how to be a great GM / president of baseball ops? Get real tight with your owner and convince them it's always going to be another 5-year plan. Oh, these didn't work out. Give me 5 more years and I'll figure it out. Give me 5 more years. That's what the good ones do. That's how you stay in a place for a long time, even though you might not have won for a while. Oh man, they're not my players, or oh, so-and-so made that trade. It wasn't me. And then you get 5 more years, 5 more years. I want to be a GM because that way I can always get 5 more years. 5 more years at $7 million. I'll take that. Sign me up, please.
Give me 3 and I'll win you a championship. What GM is that's all I want. As a GM, I'll win you a championship. You won 3 in 3 years, I'll win you a championship. You know, you might not do it, but you know what? It's going to be like my playing days. I'm either going to hit it and it's going to go hard, or I'm not. That's what you're getting. So what ownership is signing up for that?
Every ownership would sign up for that. Would you like to be the GM of the Nats? Maybe the Rockies?
Pirates, 3 years. I'll give you 3 years with the Pirates. Win me a championship.
Oh my gosh, 100%. With that pitching,
but you get the payroll they have.
Okay, that's it.
You're gonna win it. You're gonna win the National League in the next 3 years with the Pirates team, the way they're constructed and their payroll.
There won't be a single prospect left in the organization. I'm pushing in because
but you can't because you can't trade everybody because you don't have the payroll.
Yeah, but you can convince your owner to pay the guys that for the 1 year contracts, the one little. Hey, we have the pitching. We have the pitching. 3 years, you could do it. You don't think you can turn it around in 3 years?
Not with the payroll. Not unless the payroll goes way up. I said with the payroll they have now, you could not win a championship in 3 years. The Rockies ain't winning a championship with the payroll they have. The Marlins ain't winning a championship in 3 years with the payroll they have.
You can trade your prospects for pre-arb players to try and get by that way.
But then you're just giving up prospects for more prospects. You need proven guys. At some point, you need proven guys.
Pre-arb is guys that are,
guys that have 1 year. So you're going to give up 3 prospects for a guy with pre-arb for 1 year?
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
I would do.
I'd take the Marlins.
Need some veteran guys.
I'd take the Marlins or the Pirates over the Rockies because the Rockies, they spend more money than both of them, but they built a culture of like, hey, we can't win, we can't recover, all this stuff. When there are people that have had success there. I just think there's the structure of the Marlins and the Pirates right now, you could build a team around those pitching staffs. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'd be okay
not with the payrolls. Not with the $35 million payroll like the Marlins have. You can't win. I'm sorry, you're not winning the National League. You can have Sandy, you can have Perez, you can have whoever you want. Jansen, junk. You can check your junk all you want. You can have all these guys, but in 3 years from now, all those guys are going to be up, and you won't be able to afford to assign. So you're going to trade Sandy for 3 pre-arb guys. Great. In 2 years, they're up for arb, and you won't be able to afford them, so you got to trade them. It's a constant cycle. That's why you need more than 3 years, and you also need owners that back you.
And it'll be great. I'll be out in 3 years. We'll either have done it or we won't. I won't be lying. To me, I think guys who are saying, give me 5 years, they're lying to themselves and they're lying to their ownership and they're lying to their fan base. Go hard or go home. That's my slogan.
Mm-hmm. I always say, I got to restructure everything. It's going to take years and years. Anyway, let's get to Matt Barnes. Yeah. Right. You do restructure the way you want to, but it doesn't take 5+ years. Let's be real. All right, let's get to Matt Barnes joining us next on FT. This reminded me, I worked with someone once when I was at the league at MLB Network, and their whole thing, I think it was an off season, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, was like, I would rather be the GM of the Pirates than the Red Sox. And like, obviously half of it was trolling, but the other half was just like the way he backed it up was so stupid. Yeah. It was one of those moments where I'm like,
I don't know who that is, but I wouldn't.
Brian Kenny said it. I don't care. I mean, I'd said it to him when he said it. Like when I saw him at the office, I was like, that's just a brain dead take. I was like, that makes us sound stupider as a network.
No, okay. I thought it was an ex-GM. I would say if that's what a GM would say, I wouldn't want to be a part of that. Your job, yes, is to like invest in people. Yes, it's to make incremental changes going, but you have to see the vision of going to win a World Series and what that takes. Sometimes it takes swings and misses, but a lot of times if you know what you're doing and you have the people in the right position, you're going to freaking kill it. And you're going to make way bigger strides for an organization than you are saying, slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, it was when I think it was when Charrington signed up with the Pirates, and he's like, "Oh, I'd rather run this team than the Red Sox."
Charrington won a World Series. Charrington won a World Series with the Red Sox. Why? Because he had players. What did he do the year 2013? Johnny Gomes, Mike Napoli, Ryan Dempster, Shane Victorino. Oh, I went out and signed all those guys, right? Because he had money. Pirates, did they sign this year? No offense, Tommy Pham. Who else they signed? Name one guy they signed as a free agent other than Tommy Pham. I can't think of
Andrew
one.
Heaney.
Okay. Again, okay.
No,
Tommy
that's
Pham and
my
Andrew
point.
Heaney. No offense, right? The Red Sox, the year they won. Look at who they signed that year, that offseason. Name them. I just named a bunch of them. That's why they were good, right? And they had Bogarts coming up, and they had all these other guys, the guys that were already there that were, Lackey and Lester and those guys that were already there. But they had to go get those guys to come in and finish the team off. Plus, they had David Ortiz making $25 million. Pirates don't have that guy. Pirates ain't going to get that guy. And you ain't going to convince Bob Nutting to spend that money. So, no, hell no. That's one of the worst takes I've ever heard. Yeah, would it be cool
That's
to be
what I
the
was
GM of the
saying.
Pirates and try to build? Yeah, it'd be cool. But at the end of the day, you ain't winning. You ain't winning unless you spend money. I'm sorry.
Don't be employed somewhere and do a mediocre job. Be employed somewhere and absolutely kill it. That should be your goal. GM or a burger flipper. That should be your goal.
But they're trying to do this, Kratz, but you don't understand. If you don't have the tools, you can't do it. If you're a burger flipper and you ain't got no spatula, you can't flip the burger.
It was a minor league take. I think he wanted less pressure in Pittsburgh. Not Ben, Brian. Hey, we've got big league veteran pitcher Matt Barnes joining us right now on FT.
What's going on?
In a minute. How you been?
I'm good. Was listening in. I love that take.
Which one? Give it to us, because you've always had strong opinions, and now you're getting to do some broadcasting too. I've caught you on some of the Nesson Allcast on Obstructed Views. It's been great. So just go for it. React to some of what you heard while you were catching.
The Pirates Marlins, without a doubt, with those pitching staffs, but you have to spend money. You have to, without a doubt. For me, every team that's won over the last 15 years starts with young talent that's come up together, supplemented with big league veterans that you bring over and sign. End of story. Braves, Red Sox, Dodgers, Nationals, right? Like anybody who's done it has done that. And to me, it's without a doubt the recipe.
I like it. Good take. All right. So what are you seeing with the Red Sox right now? Because I know you've done some extra coverage on them. What do you like and not like about this team?
I think they got a good team. I mean, they're second in the AL East right now, going into a big series against the Yankees, who, frankly, they played really well against this year. The pitching staff has been incredible, complemented, obviously, by Garrett Crochet. Giolito's throwing the ball well. Bayo's throwing the ball well. The two young guys that came up early and Tolley have been absolutely incredible. And punching out 11 in your first game is unheard of. Chapman at the back end. And I think for the most part, they've been healthy or healthier right now. I know you have Abreu and Anthony on the IL with a couple other guys. But Story being healthy this year, I think, has been a blessing for them. When he's healthy and on the field, he's a game changer, not only defensively, but in the middle of the lineup. And I think going into the end of September, they're positioned really nicely. If they can get those two guys back healthy, you have a ton of guys in the team with postseason experience, which right now is critical. These games, even though it's not the postseason, they start to feel like that. Games start to mean more. The pressure starts to mount a little bit. Especially playing. They always kind of set it up where you play a lot of divisional games at the end. And I think all they got to do is get in, and they're in a great spot to get in. They kind of control their own destiny right now. So it's going to be exciting to see how it finishes up over the next 3 weeks.
One of the things that was just constantly reiterated about the Yankees, why they lost to the Dodgers in the World Series, they didn't lose to the Dodgers in like the wild card round, so they made it to the World Series, was defense. Is the Red Sox defense / experience in the playoffs going to come up and bite them because of the fact that, in my opinion, they have Cedane Rafaela, who's playing Gold Glove center field. He could be a Gold Glove second baseman. So you kind of have like guys a little bit out of position. And with Anthony out, maybe they don't have their best defensive alignment out there.
Yeah, yes and no. I think right now there's so many analytics in the game where guys are positioned, where obviously there's kind of ball reading and closing metrics and whatnot to get to fly balls. But for me, a lot of that comes down to the coaching staff and making sure guys are in the right position. With Rafael in center field, having that guy lock it down, and center field for me at Fenway is a very difficult very difficult center field to play because of the angles with the monster, and you've got the triangle in center. As long as he can control the entire outfield, I think that's going to be fine, which he's done. And I think having Story up the middle really helps kind of carry that up the middle feel. So I genuinely think they're going to be okay. And the Red Sox coaching staff has always done a really good job of making sure everybody's not only prepared but positioned properly. So, but again, on the experience, they have a ton of experience. I know that relatively young, right? But they have a lot of experience with guys who have been in the World Series and won World Series, played in the postseason, and those are the guys that you're going to lean on when you get to the postseason.
Matt, you mentioned the coaching staff. What has the coaching staff done for Brian Bayo other than add a cutter? I mean, how have they? Because he came up, he was amazing. He kind of had a struggle last year, and this year he's been really good again. And then Lucas Giolito, kind of the same thing, coming off injury, struggled a little bit. What has Andrew Bailey and the coaching staff done there to turn them around and make them forces? Because they're forces for him right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is confidence, right? So it's not only attacking the zone, but it's putting these guys in positions. It's the preparation and how do we get to the pitches that are your out pitches? How do we set guys up? It's being on the same page with the catchers. It's having the scouting reports. You know, when I was there, we would all kind of sit down and they show you where your stuff plays best, the trends, what you're, you know, where you're trying to get to put guys out. And for me, that's a huge part of it. When you get guys falling behind and they're not attacking the zone, you not only put yourself into bad positions, but then the confidence of the pitcher is kind of, you have a little bit of bad luck. And for me, really driving home that confidence and the ability to attack guys is an absolute game changer. You've seen it with them, and even Chapman taking it to the absolute next level this year, a guy who's been a perennial all-star for, 12 years? You even see it with him. So for me, it's a kind of a combination of those couple things.
All right, this team's in second place. Technically, they're in third, a little bit behind the Yankees. Would they be in first place if they had kept Rafi Devers?
I don't know. I don't know. Devers is an unbelievable player, and as long as I was with him, he was an unbelievable person. He played the game like he was in Little League, which for me is such a rare thing to see at a level that is so competitive. But I don't know. It's so hard to tell what's going on inside the clubhouse. You have people reporting one thing and somebody's saying another thing. But for me, like I said, I don't know. I don't know. But what I do think is that despite all of the distractions that were surrounded Devers, whether it was prior to or after, I think the team has done a really nice job of moving on from the situation and still winning.
You mean Matt Barnes is saying right now that Rafi Devers doesn't play like Dustin Pedroia played? Dustin Pedroia didn't feel like he was in Little League? Are you kidding? Are you kidding me?
Like
I mean, they were very similar personalities. I mean, Devers was always smiling, and I don't know if PD ever smiled. I was there for a few months, 3-4 months. I don't know if PD ever off the field. Yes, on the field,
never.
PD was all business, right?
I mean, you would show up to the field for a 1:00 game, right? At 11:00, PD's in front of his locker wearing full uni, and I'd be like, "Man, game starts in 2 hours. What are we doing?" And he's like,
11. He was there at 9. He was there 9 full uni with his glove going like this in his locker. Like,
and I'd ask him, I'm like, "PD, what are we doing? Game's in 2 hours." He's like, "Yeah, just in case we start early."
Which has never happened in the history of the world.
Never.
By the way.
But he was ready just in case that one time happened.
Oh, PD was a beauty. PD was a beauty. Yeah, I don't know Devers, but I can't imagine
nothing like him.
Devers were similar. Yeah, agreed.
No, but Devers, he's such a good person, and for me, and I think that there's so many different takes on this, right? But for me, and this is kind of the way that I look at it, when you give Devers $330 million, you are establishing that he is your cornerstone player that you are going to build around for the next, 13 years, whatever it was, right? And then you go into it, and obviously Devers has had some struggles at third base defensively. But you go into spring training and you sign Bregman, and there must have been some sort of miscommunication, whether they didn't talk to Devers about potentially signing him to come play third base, or they didn't talk to him once they signed Bregman to tell Devers that they wanted him to play third base. Now, the way that I look at this is, do you think that they would have ever signed somebody to play right field and not talk to Mookie Betts about it? Or would they have ever signed a shortstop and not talk to Xander about it and then just told him, hey, you're going to play this position? So for me, I feel like Devers thinks he was disrespected by the organization in that communication front. And once that happens, it's really difficult to get out of that, right? So then they say, okay, you know what? Bregman's going to play third. We want you to DH. Devers doesn't want to do that, but ultimately that's what he does. But then all of a sudden, somebody gets hurt, Cassis gets hurt at first base, and they want him to play first base. And he's like, now for me, it feels like Devers is getting thrown in 12 different directions. Now, I understand the argument where, hey, we need you to play first base. We understand that you're not going to be a Gold Glove first baseman. There are going to be growing pains. We're going to work with you, but this is what the team needs. And ultimately, putting the team first to win a championship is what needs to happen. But on Devers' front, I kind of understand the level of disrespect that he felt as the cornerstone guy. Like, you're just going to throw me out of my position, and there's not even a conversation to be had. So I get both sides of it.
Yeah, and you definitely see that from Alex Cora's comment, like, hey, Chaim Bloom signed you that contract. Chaim Bloom told you you're the third baseman. And that was kind of indicative of, like, yeah, maybe they didn't really go to him, and, you know, it was kind of a power struggle, and hey, we are where we are, and good for the Giants. Right. They picked up their superstar,
of course,
superstar bat.
Right, now, but also in defense, like, AC was there with Chaim when all of that happened, so it's not 100% on Chaim. Like, Chaim and John aren't going to give Devers $330 million without talking to Cora. That's not going to happen. So, while yes, Chaim was the one who ultimately, Chaim, right, and John, or with John's blessing, were the ones to give Devers the contract. For me, for him, I don't know. Like, AC was part of that conversation, so I don't know. It's a tough scenario regardless. But either way, I think, you know, like you said, good for the Giants because they picked up what I know to be a great person and a great ball player, and a guy who's won in one of the hardest cities in the league. And, you know, the Red Sox unloaded some money, and the Giants got him for, you know, and the Red Sox got a guy out of their clubhouse who they thought was hurting them. So, you know, it's a tough situation. But the Red Sox, like I said, have continued to win and put themselves in a position to be in the postseason, which is ultimately what matters.
It does. And they opened up some payroll to really get into that pocket. Or John Henry will just spend it on his Liverpool soccer team where he's signing all the free agents there. But that's for another discussion. You pitched with a pitch com.
Yep.
Did you ever hear curveball and say, you know what? I'm pissed at this catcher. I'm throwing a fastball. I'm not sure if he's going to catch it, but we'll see what happens.
Never in my life. Wouldn't even think about it.
Could you believe that happened? Based on how I saw it as an intentional thing. Maybe that's not your opinion, but
it is.
Okay. How that all played out, could you believe you saw that at the big league level?
No. To me, that's just, it's not only reckless and dangerous, but he loses his teammates now. Like, and we'll never know whether or not it was actually intentional. The clubhouse knows, and the staff and right, all the players, they know. But the catcher wants you to step off for one reason or another. You don't step off, you throw a fastball down the middle of the plate. It's not the catcher's fault you threw the ball down the middle of the plate and gave up a grand slam. That's on you. So to come back and cross up your catcher is so mind-boggling to me. Cross him up intentionally. It's so mind-boggling to me that it's hard to wrap my head around it. And to say that the pitch com couldn't hear. Now, like, if we see him go up, right, I don't know which side guys put it on. As a righty, I put it on my left side so my glove could cover it. If it ever got too loud, you kind of go like this. We never saw him put his glove up to his head. We never saw any remorse once he did it. Mind you, I've crossed up Vasquez before, and I've hit him with 97 directly in the chest. Back when we were using fingers, finger got lost in the shadow, and I didn't see it, or we're going through 45 different signs with a man on second base and kind of got lost in the shuffle and small miscommunication and crossed them up. But the instant reaction isn't turn my back and walk away. It's like, man, are you all right? Like, hey, sorry, right? So I just and for the position that they're in, trying to get to the postseason, like that divides a clubhouse, and you lose one of your star pitchers, it's not good.
I bet Vasky was super happy with you.
So, but this, and it's so funny. Like, it was like, I think it was the second time. Mind you, we were going like was it chase the 2 or chase the 1? And we used to do like this for a high fastball. Oh no, we were going chase the 1. And he did something like this. And I, for me, this is still a fastball, but we were following the 1. So that's what it was. He went here. So he was expecting curveball, but I was chasing the 1, which I thought was a high fastball, and drilled him in the chest. It was awful. But to your point is, like, after the second time that I did it, Purcell pulled me aside and was like, hey, this needs to be figured out now. Enough. And like, that's it, right? Hey, it's on me, 100%. But it got handled. So hopefully somebody had a conversation with him and they can figure out what's going on, not only for their team now, but think about the guys or the catchers when he goes into free agency. Like, who's going to want to deal with that? Like, it's just such a selfish thing to do.
Matt, what about what happened in San Diego? Did you see what happened with Yu Darvish? Yu Darvish said he heard two-seamer. The catcher wanted you wanted a 2-seamer, and the pitch comm wasn't working, so you just threw a curveball because that's what he heard, and he gave up a homer, and then he called the catcher out and was like, "I can't hear in my pitch comm." Have you ever heard of that one before? Or
just
a 2-way pitch comm? Why can't you just step off? You can't just step off? I know there was nobody on base. Can't you just step off and start over?
Yeah, I mean, if you just step off, the umpire is going to give you. Like, if you step off and immediately point to your thing, the umpire is going to give you a minute to figure it out. Now, if it happens 3 or 4 times, I mean, it's at some point. I think it happened with the Red Sox not too long ago. I was watching the game, and somebody was having an issue with the pitch comm, and after like the 3rd time, they were like, all right, that's a ball. But like, they work pretty well. I mean, you're going to have issues. But the catcher's got one, you've got one. If you don't hear something, step off. The worst thing you can do is throw a pitch that either one of you, A, doesn't want, or B, doesn't know what's coming. I mean, nothing good's going to come of that.
Hey, Matt, I want to transition to Aroldis Chapman. He's having just a gross year. Unbelievable run for him. Finally gave up a hit for the first time in like a couple months yesterday, which is crazy. But the story I want to ask you about is the one that surfaced about him not thinking about spotting his fastball until this year. I don't know if you caught that one. We had Carlos Narvaez on the other day, and he confirmed it and thought it was funny and interesting. So how does that happen? That's my question. Like, to not even toy around with it and be like, wait, let me just try to spot it instead of just chucking it, and aiming down the middle or whatever he is. Can you explain the inside pitcher lingo that goes on there?
First off, to make it this long in the league and be as successful as he's had or as he's been and not try to command anything is so incredible that I don't think people really understand. Like, your stuff has to be so good to be that successful and not try to command anything. Just here it is, you can't hit it. But it's crazy to me. But the second part of that is he's evolving as a pitcher, which at his age and what he's accomplished is incredible in itself. And I think I talked about this a little bit on Nesson the other night, but he could still go out there and just kind of throw 100 and be dominant. But to get to the point where he's now trying to command it, and I think what the Red Sox are doing is they've recognized where he misses, right? So as a lefty, his ball kind of rides up and rides down and in with the sinker. Instead of always trying to throw arm side into a lefty away from a righty, if we work a little bit more glove side, when you miss, you're still going to be a strike and be competitive. And his stuff is so good that all he has to do is get ahead, and then guys are going to get put away. So, and it's interesting, and I wonder how many guys in the league genuinely try to command stuff. And transparently, for the first 5 years of my career in the big leagues, I was just like, here's my stuff. And then I got to a point where I was like, Workman started talking with me. I started struggling a little bit, and I started working with Brandon Workman. I didn't know much about, tunneling pitches or kind of playing off of misses and kind of actually pitching. And Workman sat down with me and we started watching video and figuring out how all of this works. And the biggest thing for me was playing off of what actually happened and not what you intended to do. So if I throw a fastball, or if we're trying to throw a fastball down and away to a righty, but I miss up and in, well, two things happened. One, I now have a fastball up and in to play my second pitch off of, but I also have the fastball down and away that I can still go to because I never actually executed that pitch. So then that gives me an insight into, okay, well, I can throw a front or a curveball off of that fastball up and in, or I can go down and away, right? So it kind of, it just opens up a whole different level of thinking and the ability to tunnel stuff. And when you have stuff like his, if you tunnel it, it literally takes you from, I don't know, he's got a 2.5 in his career to a 1, and it goes from giving up 3 hits a month to none. But what he's doing is nothing short of amazing. And the hard part for me is, and maybe this is the reliever bias in me, I don't think that relievers get enough credit towards winning a Cy Young, just because, I mean, it's always been a starter's award for the most part. And I don't know if it's an innings thing or whatnot, but for me, what this guy has meant to the back of the bullpen for the Red Sox deserves to get him some sort of talk about winning a Cy Young.
They're coming out with a reliever award, not the one that's the Mariano and Trevor Hoffman award, but next year they're actually coming out with a reliever award. So now
that mimics the Cy Young?
So basically they'll probably get less votes for Cy Young, and they'll get their reliever of the year award. It won't just be the closers, but it'll be reliever of the year award starting next year.
Yeah, which is awesome, right? As long as it holds the same weight as a Cy Young. Because winning a Cy Young, when you go into contract negotiations, if you have a Cy Young under your belt, it's big money. So as long as the teams recognize that award as the reliever equivalent of a Cy Young, and even make the Cy Young strictly a starter's award, I'm fine with that, as long as there's an equivalent for the relievers and teams recognize and compensate appropriately for that.
Perfect.
Hey, last one, Matt. We saw you doing a little banana ball action, and you didn't officially announce retirement stuff, right? Although our crew is not really into that. They just say, I go off. What's your thing, AJ? What do you always say?
You retire or stop playing.
Stop playing. I have paperwork's not submitted officially.
Okay.
Why do you have to submit paperwork? I never submitted paperwork.
I think it's a formality. Honestly, in this day and age, I think it's probably just to get your name up on an Instagram post.
Don't do it.
So, but no, I haven't. I was trying to play earlier this year, and genuinely, and this is what's kind of frustrating about it. I went through the entire process with Tread, and I did the whole 6-month thing, and I threw down at Tread's pro day. And what was it? January 10th, I think it was. And this to me is how far the game has come, which is good, but also crazy. Like in January 10th, I was 92 to 93 with great stuff and a bullpen inside. And I started talking to one of the Cubs scouts, and I'm like, this is like, even when I threw 99 to 100, like I threw 93 miles an hour in a bullpen. There's some guys out there that can throw 98 miles an hour. They just flip a switch and can do it in a bullpen. I've never been that guy. But so I ended up talking to one of the Cub scouts, and I'm like, this is such an interesting position to me. For like, if I was in this bullpen throwing 95 today, I'd have a job by the end of the day. Not that I could have, but if I was, I'd have a job by the end of the day. But I also know that if I tried to go out there and like only focus on trying to throw 95 for the last 4 months, and I was throwing 95 on January 10th, by the time September rolled around, I'd be throwing 86. So it was such an interesting position to be in, and you know what? It didn't work out. I didn't end up getting a job offer, and truthfully, I mean, it sucks. But when I look back on the last however many years I was, 9, 10 years in the big leagues, I don't have any regrets. I was very fortunate to accomplish a lot of stuff and do some really cool things. And now I get to be home with my son and my family and do some other fun stuff and kind of move on to the next chapter of my life, which has been incredible. I mean, do you miss the game and parts of it? Of course you do. But, there's sometimes you just kind of, the next chapter closes and not many of us get to go out on our own terms or exactly how we want to. So I've been fortunate enough to kind of do a lot, but now now I get to go play banana ball every once in a while when I want to.
That's cool. That's cool. Do you think teams are missing the boat there? Because we have an epidemic of injuries and dudes wearing out. Do you think teams are missing the boat because they don't give a guy who has 9 years, 10 years of experience in the big leagues a job just because he's not throwing 96 to 98 in a bullpen in January? Because I always said, and I had to go to spring training to try to make the team. I never had a spot. I had to come into spring training ready to go. I couldn't have tried out for a team in January. Like, there's like a build-up ready to go to last the season.
Right. Yeah. Like, I got DFA'd by the Nats in May of last year. And transparently, I had thought about, at that point, I was doing 110% of the work to get 70% of the output. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. My son was 4 months old. But then after a few months off, I was like, man, I got the itch. So that's when I started going through everything. And I only wanted, honest to God, I was trying to get a minor league deal with an invite to camp to prove myself. I wouldn't expect it. I never asked for a big league deal either. Like, I just wanted a chance to come show you that I was good. I never got a single offer. But I think the hard part, a lot of teams want the young guy that either A, they don't have to pay a lot to, or they have control over. And for me, with my time, there was no control. If I was in the big leagues, then if you wanted to get rid of me, you had to DFA me. So, and they want flexibility. A guy throwing, I'll take 4 guys throwing 100, and eventually one of them is going to click, as opposed to a guy throwing 95. But then again, I think the other part of it is how many teams are actually competitive. Because if you're not competitive, why would you bring in a guy who's 34, turning 35 this year, who's 94, 95, when at this point, arguably my biggest asset is my experience to A, help a younger generation, but B, in the postseason and having been there 5 times or whatever, 4 times, whatever it was. But if a team's not competing to win, then that doesn't appeal to them at all. And the teams that are in a position to win have 10 guys that are throwing 97 to 99 now. So it was a super unique position to be in.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, a third of the league's like me. So I'm glad we got the insight, Matt. It's great catching up, and obviously hope we do it again because I love your takes. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see you. Anytime, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. That's Matt Barnes with us on FT. That logo animation is just, it's doing it for me, Kratz. BetMGM free game of the day. Drum roll, please. We got the Padres taking on the Rockies. I'm actually hitting that game up, but it's at 9:40 Eastern time. Live streaming available. If you are a BetMGM customer, you got a logged in funded account, then you can watch that game for free. Yesterday, AJ and I successful. Pap trying to ride a little Padres bounce back. Didn't happen. What did Taj finish with, Kratz, on his strikeouts?
5. They kept giving him chances.
You got hooked.
I got hooked. Is what it is.
Yeah, I got Flaherty. I think just made it. I think he had 6.
He did. He had 7. No, he had 7.
Oh, he had 7? Okay, never mind.
7. Yep.
There you go. Up 99. All right, Kratz. So at least your friends are back in the green.
Hey, if we tail everybody, that means everybody's got green. Just don't tail me too hard until I get hot.
Exactly. All right, so I'll go first just because I'm picking from that San Diego, Colorado game. And I'm going with the Padres. I'll take a bounce back dub right here after a tough series for them against Cincinnati. And I'll take them with a win of 2 runs or more, right? 1 in the hook, as our buddy Todd Father would say, and he'll be on tomorrow. So I'm going to roll that way. And yeah, I mean, if we're looking at the pitching matchup, I think Randy Vasquez is actually a little bit underrated. I don't know a lot about McCade Brown, so I'm just looking at his rookie starts, and I'm seeing a lot of runs given up, and I'm adding it all up, and I'm like, bounce back game, Padres. They got the edge, obviously, with the bullpen. Some of those guys were rested yesterday. They're not going to want to mess around in a Rocky series. They're going to try to pummel them. So I'll take that one at minus 120. What do you got?
I got the Mariners at home. They were at home last night, riding the wave. I think they've won 4 or 5 straight. I'm not sure, but the Angels flew in last night to play them. I got Bryce Miller beating Jose Soriano by 2 and a hook. So we're going 1 and a hook. So just 2 runs. I think the Mariners are going to come out swinging it. They swung it well against Jose Soriano, and I got plus 140, putting up 300 to win 420.
What?
I'm going ham.
Wow. Hey, we're back just for a quick minute. There was a board put up on Spot Track of Shohei Ohtani's endorsement money. He makes about 10 times as much money from endorsements as any other baseball player. There's the salary to endorsements ratio. I would ignore the salary part just because obviously a lot of it's deferred right now, Kratz, but just look at how much money he's making in endorsements.
That's phenomenal to me. I mean, these numbers have been floated around, but the fact that he's making 9 figures in endorsements has enabled him and his team and Dodgers fans to be able to build another team around him and him not have to make $100 million a year as a player. He's going to make that all on the back end because he's making so much now. That's so cool.
I'm guessing they have Soto on there clearing 120 mil just on salary because of the bonus part, which they're including as well. That's crazy too. Signs, first season plus the bonus, 120. Life is good for the top. All right, part 2, BetMGM Locks. Let's get to the board because AJ had to bounce for a manager meeting. He's got a game tonight. What does he have? He has
Believeland.
Cleveland against KC?
Yep.
Okay. Both of those teams are not in a good spot anymore, but not an impossible spot, just not a good spot for the wild card picture. Texas has really emerged as the biggest threat. But anyway, for AJ, he's going Padres money line tonight. Mine is run line, by the way, just to clarify there, minus 1.5. So AJ's going Padres money line and Jose Soriano over 15.5 outs. So
I love it.
Can he work himself a little bit deeper into the 6th inning? I think so.
Oh, yeah.
You want to see what they got for the rest? You know what? He's got 3 starts left? 4?
For sure. And he's one of the guys moving forward. He's definitely one of those guys moving forward for them, and he's thrown well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the way, AJ dipped for managers meeting, so you'll see him next week on Monday. By the way, next week I'll be out of the picture for a week, so everyone that hates me, it'll be your lucky week. Lana Rizzo, Kratz, AJ, and eventually I think Trevor May is going to be on some shows. By the way, I want to point this out too while we have a moment. Both rocking some new FT merch today. No big deal. FoulTerritoryShop.com is the spot. But also, let's talk about MGM for a moment. Bonus code is FOUL, FOUL. We got a new poster. Derek Jeter.
Look at DJ.
I'm going to give you a little insight because if you're watching right now, we love you. I've been hearing some rumblings that DJ might join us here and there on FT. So keep an eye out for it. But use code FOUL, FOUL, to get up to $1,500 back on your first bet offer. That's your first wager. You download the app, you sign up, and deposit at least $10. Place your first wager on any game. Receive up to $1,500 back, depending on your bet. Obviously, if your bonus bet, in bonus bets, if your bets lose, just make sure you use bonus code FOUL. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. DJ, we'll talk to you soon. Be right back with Slap. All right, let's slap. We got Todd Father on with us tomorrow. Kratz, I think one more shout out. We saw your hat for a very rare occurrence at the top of the show, but you want to show it one more time at the bottom here?
The hat I wore on September 11th in the last season that I played. Got the opportunity to wear it. And don't look into the NYPD, FD, whatever it is. It's a hat they gave me, so I'll wear it in remembrance. And it's a special hat for me, and I feel honored to be able to wear it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we have Ken Rosenthal on the show tomorrow. We have Sal Stewart, Reds rookie, fresh in the bigs, joining us tomorrow on the show. We'll see you then. And if you're watching online right now, we'll see you in a minute because we're staying. Hey, trying to see if I can pull off a question or two from the chat with the extra couple minutes that we have. I should have thought of this before. Here, I'll bring up Boo in the chat. I don't think Orioles pitching moves last season were that egregious. Bradish, Rogers, Rodriguez, Wells, and Kramer, solid enough rotation. Those other guys were just stopgap measures. Agree or disagree?
Was Bradish hurt to start the year? Or was the question over the last few years?
I think he's talking about heading into this year.
Wells and Bradish were going to be out the whole year. So you were running on Grayson 100% being healthy, which he hasn't been yet. To me, that's not how a team that goes all in to win. Like, you collect 6 starters to start the season. You make sure you have 6 starters. You did it last year. You went out or the year before, you went out and got Burns to solidify a rotation that had Bradish, Wells, Grayson, Rodriguez. So if you felt like your rotation at the beginning of this year was better than the previous year, I feel like I have an argument there, but maybe I don't understand the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what he means.
I mean, Charlie Morton, you sign to be a stopgap. You sign Shigano to be a stopgap. Maybe you get something out of him. You can't say, man, we're missing Tyler Wells and Bradish for the year, so we're going to get a Cy Young performance from Grayson Rodriguez. Rogers is going to return to be exactly what we thought he was going to be. No, that didn't happen. Yes, he's nails right now, and he looks like a piece moving forward. All 4 of those guys in rotation next year is awesome. You need to go and get somebody because you have the position player grouping that can win a World Series, and they have to step up too. But to me, the front office needs to step up for this team.
Yeah, there were some down years. I mean, even Gunnar Henderson this year, fine. Last year, MVP-like. Jackson Holliday has definitely taken another step, but he's not a star yet. Colton Cowser dealing with some injuries this year. Like there's names here. Obviously, Adley,
what
we covered his step back. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it was something at least we all agreed on the show. Not enough TLC with the rotation. We didn't like the moves that they did make. They did spend. Here we are. They have a chance to rewrite it. You're going to have the same front office, at least for this year. So you'll see if they can fix things. We will see you tomorrow. If you're with us right now and you want to get a little Dodgers take from Alana and Clint, then go for it. We'll flip you over to Dodgers territory.
And they spent millions on Tyler O'Neill. That was weird.